Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Joel Gilbert with you from Los Angeles, almost 10:30 here on the West Coast, 12:30 in Austin, Texas, and 1:30 a.m. Thanks for hanging out with us and staying with us on this marathon for the IG report that just came out. You heard my take a few minutes ago. I'm pretty disappointed. The 18 months, I think, in itself was huge obstruction for anything happening. We want you to call in. We have attorney Larry Klayman coming up to comment on the IG report in just a minute or two. Call us in at 888-201-2244. Again, 888-201-2244 for any questions for me or Larry Klayman. Don't forget my film in the Alex Jones in the InfoWars store, Trump, the Art of the Insult. You got to get that movie. And let's go ahead and bring on Larry Klayman. Are you there? I think you're also on the West Coast today, so we're not too
Joel,
late. How are you, Larry?
How you doing? Good, nice seeing you.
Great, Larry. Hey, good to see you. Well, lay it on me. What are your first impressions of this report that we waited 18 months to get?
I regret to say it, Joel, but I predicted it. I've been a veteran, so to speak, in fighting the swamp now for 24 years since I started Judicial Watch. Now I run Freedom Watch. You can see that at the bottom of the screen, freedomwatchusa.org. This is typical. It's a little bit like, let's pass a law to prevent me from killing again. Nobody's held accountable here. James Comey's not held accountable. Barack Obama's not held accountable. Loretta Lynch just made errors in judgment. You've got Strzok and Page, no recommendation with regard to their prosecution. It's a whitewash, it's a sham, and it's a cover-up. And that's exactly what it is. Now, it's what we could have expected because this is the Inspector General of the Department of Justice. He is, in effect, a career person. Even if he's politically appointed, his career is with the Justice Department in practice. And he's not going to do anything to upset the apple cart. And when we saw the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, come on later in the day, that was completely shameless. He's praising the FBI. He's not holding anybody accountable. He's just giving some nebulous referral to the Office of Professional Responsibility for Discipline. This is not a question of discipline. This is a question of bringing indictments, trying criminals, and having them thrown in prison, and most particularly Hillary Clinton, who now the Democrats are saying, well, okay, Comey influenced the election because he held the press conference and he broke protocol. The fact is, she should have been indicted. So that's what we're dealing with. And it's a sham of a sham of a sham, as Woody Allen would say.
Well, another thing Chris Wray said, they're going to have bias sensitivity training. Maybe they'll get the guys who were at Starbucks to come over to the FBI and give them some training in bias and how not to behave, behavioral modification. I was very disappointed. Do you agree with me that the timing of it, 18 months, pushes it so far down the road that it's almost impossible to ever even get back to the original crimes of Hillary Clinton, of Barack Obama, of the emails, the IRS scandal? It's just pushed so far down the road that was part of their strategy.
It is. And this is why the president needs to step up to the plate now and not listen to his attorneys, who are swamp creatures themselves, for that matter, and take action. First, he needs to fire Sessions. Then he needs to fire Rosenstein even more. He needs to appoint a special counsel. He is the head of the Justice Department. He's head of the executive branch, in effect. He's the chief law enforcement officer. I've said I would take the job. You can find our petition at freedomwatchusa.org, or appoint somebody else if you don't want to appoint Larry Klayman. But you need a special counsel to actually bring indictments, to have trials, to convict, and to have sentence, and to have the key thrown away on Hillary Clinton. And also, as we've talked about before, Joel, we're going to be impaneling citizens' grand juries in the next few weeks, and we're going to have citizens try Hillary Clinton, Comey, Obama, and everybody else. And I'll tell you something. I'm for peaceful actions, not violent actions, but the American people have the right to conduct their own trials. That's the way we did it up to about 100 years ago. We didn't have a Justice Department. Congress created it. There were citizens' tribunals. We even have the right to do citizens' arrests. And I think it's going to come to that, because this cannot be tolerated. This IG report, which was oversold by a number of cable networks, most particularly Fox News, because they wanted to boost ratings, turned out to be exactly what I predicted it would be, a dud. And in fact, Judge Napolitano Napolitano criticized some of his colleagues today for overselling it, and they're continuing to do it today. This is a complete and utter whitewash.
What do you think of some of those specific new text messages that we heard that I think Congress is livid they never got this material? Things like "Viva la Resistance" from a Mueller team attorney, and of course Peter Strzok. Is Trump going to get elected? He says we won't let that happen as he's starting the Russia hoax investigation. Are they just going to say these are two idiots who texted each other?
Well, there is evidence in the report, but then the Inspector General does nothing with it. I mean, it becomes theater of the absurd. He says, well, yes, here are these text messages showing political bias. Strzok and Page wanted to destroy Trump, things like that. But it didn't infect the investigations. Now, what planet does this guy live on? Okay, he has to come out with that because Congress wants those documents and will ultimately get those documents. This particular email was held back from Congress for, like you said, 18 months. And he lays this out, but then he says, okay, it's all going away. And then you have this FBI director who's part of the whole establishment. That's how he got his job, Christopher Wray. I mean, at least he's learned how to speak in public at this point. I think he's a good speaker. But the guy's a zero. He says, I'm going to refer this to the Office of Professional Responsibility so we can have internal discipline, but doesn't specify anything. No, criminal indictments, grand juries. This is what we need. And without it, the American people are going to reach the point that our founding fathers reached and the colonialists reached when King George III took our legal system back to the court of King James, and we had no legal system. And all the elites were pampered and set free when the colonialists were having their houses broken into, their wives and children assaulted, and overly taxed. We're in a revolutionary state, Joel. We are in that
Larry,
state right now. I don't want to see it. Yeah.
It sounds like Congressional Senate Ethics Committee. There's something wrong. They send it to the Ethics Committee to look into it and then bury it. We're going to be right back in about 3 more minutes. Keep the calls coming in. We're going to take your calls. It's 888-201-2244. Questions on the IG report. We're keeping it going here. 10:30 in the West Coast. Be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Joel Gilbert with you here, right from the left coast, 10:35 here in Los Angeles, 1:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Thanks for hanging with us. My guest, continuing the IG Marathon, IG Report Marathon discussion, my guest is Freedom Watch USA and Judicial Watch founder Larry Klayman with us. You can call in at 888-201-2244. Larry, you still with us?
I am happy to be here, my good friend.
Great. We're going to take our first caller. Let's go with Garrett in Texas. Garrett, please go ahead with your question for me and Larry Klayman.
Hey, Joel, Larry.
Garrett.
Man, pleasure. How you guys doing this fine evening?
Okay, what's your question,
We're doing
sir?
well. The country could be doing better.
Yeah, I know. I'm not supposed to say how you doing. That's the rule. that's the faux pas. But anyway, I wanted to say, this Dershowitz guy. I mean, if you've done your homework on this guy, he's a Harvard, law lawyer. I mean, basically, he's the deep state, and everything that he's basically produced is probably 10% of what the American public is really looking for. And then you got these liberal spin doctors telling us that it's not politically motivated. I mean, you got to be just slapping yourself in the face as just a true American looking at this, going, why? What do I need to do to just get real news?
Okay, well, all right, Garrett, thanks for the call. Garrett, thank you for the call. Larry, what do you think of these talking heads like, Dershowitz sometimes has some good points, but in fact, most of the media don't really care too much about this IG report. The Democrats don't care. The courts are near impossible. Congress is full of deep state cover artists, including many Republicans. What is the real hope for this to amount to anything?
Well, you take these facts and put them in the proper forum. What the Justice Department's done is going nowhere. It's going into a deep, dark hole, the Office of Professional Responsibility. I have several matters I've asked them to investigate with Klayman Bundy, with other matters. They have deep sixed all of that. My former alma mater has become the Department of Injustice and Corruption. So Freedom Watch is trying to fill the void here. I do what I used to do at Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch gets documents mostly. I'm bringing hard-hitting cases. We have a wrongful death lawsuit against Hillary Clinton for that private email server, which gave up the coordinates of Ambassador Chris Stevens, which resulted in the deaths of our client's sons, Charles Woods and Patricia Smith, Ty Woods, Sean Smith. That's what we're doing. We're going to be impaneling citizens' grand juries with ordinary citizens from voter rolls, taking evidence, indicting Clinton, indicting Obama, indicting Comey, indicting Loretta Lynch. It wasn't just bad judgment. This was a fix on the investigation. It was obstruction of justice. And we citizens have the legal right. Former Justice Antonin Scalia, may he rest in peace, said grand juries belong to the people, not the three branches of government. We can't enforce the law ourselves. And we're going to have to go back to the days that we did that, and to do it honestly, and to do it correctly, and to not use violence, but to actually do it. And there's going to come a time when somebody's going to go to the doorstep after Hillary Clinton's convicted and say, turn yourself in, Hillary. And if she won't do that, we'll see if we can find some federal judge that will enforce the conviction throughout the country. And then we'll seek other means that are peaceful to get it done. But we need to make the point, because the country's sinking fast. And this Inspector General is not a man of integrity, Michael Horowitz. He's like the rest of the swamp creatures. Joel, I'm sure you recognize that. And I hope people will go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org, donate to our cause. We need to ramp up. We need more lawyers. We need more investigators. And please sign the petition to urge President Trump to get out of his malaise, because he's been given bad advice. I mean, Rudy Giuliani, I don't know what the heck he's doing out there other than just pontificating attorney-client secrets in public. He's a nice man. I like him. But, I think he's at the point where he should retire, because this president needs to take control. He's the head of the executive branch. He can appoint me special counsel. He can appoint someone else special counsel. He can fire Rosenstein. He can do all the things that need to be done to clean the rat's nest out, and he's sitting there taking punches, and he's a fighter. I mean, I love the president. I think he's going to be the best president of my lifetime and yours. But he's going to have to fight back now, because he's been checkmated by the Inspector General, who has basically said there's nothing there. And if he goes ahead and takes these actions, he's being told there'll be political blowback. But the heck with the political blowback. The country can't wait. Our founding fathers weren't worried about political blowback by King George III. We are in worse shape today than we were in 1776, Joel.
All right, well, look, they put Trump on the defensive from the get-go with this phony Russia collusion hoax. They started investigating him. They neutralized Attorney General Jeff Sessions by telling him he was under investigation. They went after all his friends, Roger Stone, Manafort. They raided his attorney, personal attorney, Michael Cohen. So they're keeping him in a box somehow. What do you think it's going to take? And is that what's holding Trump back from simply doing as we think we understand he can do? He can appoint a special counsel. He can fire Sessions. He can fire Mueller. What's holding him back at this point? Is this report at least going to get him to finally take these drastic actions?
I hope so, but it probably makes it less likely at this point, which is why Freedom Watch is doing what it's doing. For instance, we have a lawsuit, you know about it. A judge, Emmett Sullivan, ruled that all of Mueller's communications with the media have to be produced by September 4th. Those will likely show grand jury leaks. That's criminal. Mueller will then be gone. The president will have cover to fire him, and hopefully he'll be indicted. We'll indict him in our citizens' grand juries and hold him accountable. But the president, right now, because of this report, because it watered everything down, is being told, don't do anything, sit there. This is clearing you of obstruction of justice with Comey. But Mueller has much more in store for the president than just simply alleged obstruction of justice in firing Comey. He's going to squeeze and squeeze.
Look, the New York Attorney General's office that Eric Schneiderman, I call him corruption man, was driven out of office because of his sexual improprieties. But all of a sudden, what a coincidence, on the same day or the day before the IG report, they come out with this lawsuit against his charitable foundation. Meanwhile, the Clinton charitable foundation is never investigated.
It's a
It
disgrace.
seems like they've always they got something up their sleeve at all times, it seems like.
Well, they do, and they've got a very leftist judiciary and legal system in New York, as they do in California, and they're able to get what they want. And the newest attorney general in New York is no better than Schneiderman. Maybe it's even worse than before Schneiderman. But the American people need to rise up. We can't have a dual justice system. We can't have the elites walking off free. And that's what this IG report's all about. If you're part of this Washington club, if you're part of the establishment, you'll have the inspector general, you'll have the attorney general, you'll have the deputy attorney general, you'll have Congress, you'll have the judges let you walk off into the sunset without any consequence. Hillary Clinton's laughing tonight. She knew she'd never be held accountable by the IG. We need to hold her accountable.
She said that. She said that over and over. She said she's never going to happen, never going to happen. Let's go to Martin in Chicago. Martin in Chicago, you're on with Larry Klayman and myself on Alex Jones Show. Go ahead, Martin. Okay, Martin, are you there? Let's go to Bruce in Iowa then. Bruce, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. I heard Louis Gohmert talk the other day locally, and he was saying that there were like 1,000 files on the Clintons when he left office, FBI files, and that Bush pretty much said, forget it, we're not going to go into those. So what stops Trump for just having executive orders, going back and looking at all the files and releasing all that information?
Nothing stops.
Okay, good question.
Yeah, when I was running Judicial Watch, which I founded before I decided to run for the U.S. Senate in Florida, and then I founded Freedom Watch after that, I was involved in the Filegate scandal, and that was not, I brought a lawsuit for the people whose files were obtained by Hillary Clinton through Craig Livingstone and others in the White House. Many people think that may be why Vince Foster is no longer here, because he was helping Hillary with those files, and he was probably the only person, according to Linda Tripp, who was in the White House who had any degree of ethics. So either they offed him or he killed himself, in all likelihood. But yes, it's still out there. President Trump has that ability. He has that authority. He should clean house. He should swing for the fences. He should do what needs to be done. He doesn't need to hang back and take the advice of his lawyers, because his lawyers are leading him down the primrose path. Look, Mueller just had issued 150 subpoenas in the prosecution against Manafort. There's a good chance, with all the pressure that's put on Manafort, that he'll flip, that he'll say what needs to be said, not ultimately to be convicted, or the others who are in fact under indictment and going to trial. So it's a very serious situation, and this IG just let the steam out of any claim that Hillary Clinton, Mueller, Comey, Loretta Lynch, and everybody else in and around the Clintons, including the intelligence community, then run by the corrupt John Brennan, former CIA director, and the equally corrupt director of national intelligence, James Clapper, they just let the steam out that they committed no crimes. Okay, so this is why we need to do what we need to do, we the people.
Okay, let's go to Isa here in California. Go ahead, Isa, you're on InfoWars. Go ahead.
Hi there. Hi, Joel. I met you at FOA one time.
Oh, very nice.
Hi, Larry. This is just, it reminds me of when Comey comes out and gives all these facts of many crimes that Hillary Clinton committed, and then said, but she didn't have the intent. Well, same here. The IG gives us all this horrible stuff. We're going to stop President Trump from becoming president. But then it concludes, but there's no political bias. So it's like they're diffusing it. The facts are still the facts. And I love Larry's idea that the people should be prosecuting and holding these people accountable. And I happen to be a former prosecutor, and I'm going to go on Larry's website and offer my time.
Well, that'll be excellent.
Very nice.
And we need a citizens' army, and we need to rise up like we did in 1776. We're back to that point again.
Well,
Okay,
I love
good.
it.
Let's take Martin in Chicago. Let me give out the phone number one more time. It's 888-201-2244. Martin in Chicago, go ahead.
Hey, do you hear me this time?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay, good.
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Cut off. All right. The reason why nothing is getting done here is because there is a group in control of every single department in the federal government called the Senior Executive Service. They have no oversight. They have the top possible government payroll, and they're a bunch of corporate bureaucrats, and their only job is to throw anything out that could possibly make a change in the bureaucracy. And until these guys are removed, and Trump could do that with an executive order just to dissolve them, because they are like a brotherhood or a union or whatever you want to call them, and they were founded back in the Clinton administration by I forgot her name, but if you want to hear more about this, you can just do some research with the Able Danger Group.
Okay, thanks for the call. Larry, let me ask Larry, have you ever heard of that group? And is it simply he's talking about the Washington swamp? And
I have. I mean, this is the nature of Washington. I mean, it's a bureaucracy. I can tell you, people are saying, oh, the upper levels of the Justice Department are corrupt and politically compromised. I'll tell you something. The Justice Department today is corrupt top to bottom. I deal with young prosecutors sometimes, or young defense lawyers in the federal programs branch. They're held out to dry by their superiors. They're put forward in the courts. They lie. Let me give you another example of stonewalling. In the Bundy case, I asked for documents dealing with Cliven Bundy's successful standoff at Bunkerville. Now, the government had to have all those documents together because they had actually marshaled a prosecution against the Bundys. The FBI came back and said it'll take us 41 years to produce documents that they already had assembled. 41 years. I go to the judge, a corrupt judge named Colleen Kohler-Catelli, ultra-leftist, opposed by every conservative group when she was nominated and confirmed during the Clinton years. Her husband actually helped defend Clinton people. And she rubber stamps the 41 years, okay? And I'm going to go up to the D.C. Circuit now and give that a try, if not the Supreme Court. But it's not just the Justice Department, it's the judiciary, which by and large rolls over to these political hacks at the Justice Department and elsewhere. And that's why we have no Justice Department today. It's why Freedom Watch fills that void. I'm doing today what I used to do at Judicial Watch. Judicial Watch is not run by a lawyer. I'm a lawyer of 40 years, a trial lawyer. So I'm doing whatever I can. But we also need to get President Trump to wake up before it's too late. He's got some very important things to do with North Korea, Iran, with immigration in this country. And he can't be picked apart in the next 2.5 years by a corrupt Justice Department and a corrupt Robert Mueller special counsel. They need to be removed, legally removed now from our body politic.
Well, I think, Larry, what people, and tell me if I'm correct, what people don't understand is that, as you mentioned, with all this pressure being put on Mueller, Michael Cohen, his personal attorney, these people can also, if they're told you're going to jail the rest of your life, they can also embellish and exaggerate and even make up something that might not even be true to keep themselves out of jail. And Mueller can say, well, I believe them, and then charge Trump. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they will do that. Believe me, they will do that. Now, maybe Manafort's holding back right now, hoping that Trump pardons him in the end. That may happen. But it's a distinct possibility. Already Rick Gates has flipped. I don't know what General Flynn has done. I think he's a fine man. I doubt that he gave anything up. But there are others out there that certainly could have. There's, several indictments now, and Mueller's putting the heat on. And these people will likely lie to save their own skin. A drowning man will grab onto anything to save himself. And that's what Mueller is doing. And he's a hack. He's a friend of Comey. He's a friend of the establishment, not just the Democrat, but the Republican establishment. They all want Trump figuratively and in some instances actually dead. And we voted for this guy. We voted for him. I believe that President Trump is our one hope. The next president that we get after him, if he gets destroyed, will be 100 times worse than Obama or Clinton. And we have to save him and do whatever we can. But he's got to step up to the plate and save himself right now and stop sitting there taking punches, just sending tweets. I mean, Okay, tweets, fine. It's entertaining. Now you need to take charge. Appoint a special counsel to investigate Mueller. Appoint a special counsel to investigate Clinton, Comey, Lynch, Brennan, Clapper, and yes, Obama and his lovely wife, who are behind
Yeah,
all of
look,
this. And George Soros.
yeah,
George Soros
people
finances
don't,
it.
yeah, they don't quite understand the depth of this. I mean, of course, Brennan goes back. People forget that John Brennan was the passport fixer. He ran a company that managed the U.S. passport system, and he went in and scrubbed Obama's passport. That I think I presented enough evidence that Obama spent a junior year abroad in Pakistan on an international studies major out of Occidental. He was not at Columbia during the junior year. And he hid that for various reasons, which we can get into another time. But Brennan is an old Obama fixer, and you can see just how radical he is, someone who voted for the Communist Party and is willing to do or say anything to harm Trump. Let's go to Patrick in Washington.
He reportedly converted to Islam and has a prayer rug in his office.
Brennan spent a lot of time in Saudi Arabia, may have converted to Islam. Nobody knows for sure. I've actually heard him speak. Supposedly he speaks fluent Arabic. I've heard him speak Arabic, and it's not very fluent. I think he's embellished his resume a little bit. Let's go to Patrick in Washington. Go ahead.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know, I mean, kind of my opinion on this matter, and it just, kind of seems to me that the FBI is probably beyond repair at this point. I mean, I know a lot of folks, I mean, you can see how the upper echelons operate, and, they obviously have their own agendas, and they get to investigate themselves and clear themselves, which is a nice setup. But, I mean, a lot of folks always say the rank and file of the FBI are good and things like that, and I just wanted to make the point. They didn't act on the Parkland tip, the tip that had to do with the Parkland shooter. I'm pretty sure Comey and folks like that don't answer phones on tip lines. So I don't know how great they are, effective as an agency.
Thanks for the call. Look, we made the point the FBI it's not just the upper echelon, it's the rank and file. The whole organization has been corrupted by Obama from top to bottom. They can't even arrest terrorists and people that make terrorist threats, and we're not safe. And that's why it has to be completely reformed. Let's go over to Dan here in California. Go ahead, Dan. You're on with Larry Klayman on the Alex Jones Show.
Hi. I have a question. I remember I saw a program on Fox and Friends where Trump was on the phone, and they told him, well, what are you doing? Why are you not doing anything? I mean, it's your Justice Department. And he says, yeah, I stayed off the sideline for now, but I think, pretty soon I'm going to take over. Now, something doesn't add up. I mean, we elected him, and he knew before he got this job, he knew exactly what he was getting himself into. And I want to ask you, what do you think is wrong? I mean, is he being threatened?
Okay.
Is he being
all right. Look,
Dan,
thanks for the call. Larry, what is it you think that's holding Trump back?
He's been told by his lawyers, who are establishment lawyers, every single one of them, that if you just keep quiet, don't say anything, Mueller will punch himself out and someday he'll go away. Well, Mueller is like a cancer. He's like a virus. He's like herpes. It never goes away until it destroys the person. And that's what the president needs to keep in mind, because he's a fighter. He knows this, his instincts. Get rid of these lawyers. Get people that actually understand the way Washington works, who aren't part of the establishment swamp. And every one of his lawyers is a part of that swamp. Even the conservative ones are. They're part of this giant club that also want to keep relations with Mueller, the FBI, and the Justice Department, because they're in private practice or they're with public interest groups, and they don't want to jeopardize their standing and their finances or anything else. And that's, why Larry Klayman, I'm willing to risk it all. Okay, our founding fathers risked it all. Their fortunes, their lives, they pledged their sacred honor. I'm willing to do that. So I hope that we need 100,000 signatures. We'll go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org, sign that petition, because I'm the one lawyer, and I mean this sincerely from my heart. I started Judicial Watch back in 1994. I would have quit being a lawyer if I hadn't started Judicial Watch and later Freedom Watch, because the legal system is so corrupt to the core, top to bottom. It's corrupt. The judges, the Justice Department, fellow lawyers, bar associations that try to take people out. They don't like their politics, and all kinds of other aspects. The system is corrupt top to bottom. The American people now need to rise up. We have the right, and that's what I'm saying candidly. Nobody else will say that.
All right, I think we need 100,000 Larry Klaymans. No doubt Larry would act as the founding fathers did and sacrifice everything to get this country back on the right track. He's walking the walk every day. Let's go to Melissa in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hello?
Hi, Melissa.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
It really annoys me that no one keeps on the point about the text messages that were going back between Strzok and Lisa Page about the secret society. And I wonder if, it would seem that I haven't heard anything in the IG, that was in the IG report.
Melissa, we're almost out of time. Thanks for the call. I think we've only gotten 3,000 of something like 50,000 text messages. So you can just imagine that into the future months, we'll get some of this stuff that's even more damning. Larry, last word. We got about 20 seconds.
Last word is that we, the people, need to do it for ourselves. Forget about the government. There is no government now. And we'll do it peacefully, we'll do it legally, and we'll do it the right way. But we cannot sit back and watch this continue to destroy our nation like a cancer. We cannot.
Okay, we're running out of time. Larry Klayman, thank you for being our guest.